Welcome to the JonBenet Ramsey channel. It's March 28th, Thursday. It's about 8:12, and we are going to be talking about the murder of JonBenet Ramsey. Um, it's our belief that they had the name of the killer within the first 24 hours of the murder. So let's go back on some of the facts of what happened. This occurred back in 1996 on Christmas night, December 25th. JonBenet Ramsey was killed. So she was 6 years old. This happened in Boulder, Colorado. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and leave comments, questions. I'll try to answer all questions that I can. Um, but we feel that the Boulder police had the killer's name within the first 24 hours of the murder. So again, this is a cold case. It happened back in 1996 on Christmas night. Um, so it's been 28 years since the murder. Okay. And we believe the police have had the killer's name in their folder in the police file for the last 28 years. And if you think about this as think in the context of a baseball game, the police have had the name of the killer. It's like having a runner on third base for 28 years. And they just need one little hit to bring the runner home. Okay. They have the name of the killer. It's in the file. They had it in the first day, first 24 hours. And they just have not gotten that one hit, that one bunt to bring home the runner and solve the murder. Okay. But it's our contention that they knew the name of the killer within the first 24 hours. Okay. So let's take a look at a few of the facts of the case. So the killing happened at home. Okay. JonBenet Ramsey was 6 years old. Okay. There was four people in the house. Okay. John Ramsey, the father, Patsy Ramsey, the mother, JonBenet Ramsey, and her brother Burke. Burke was 9 years old. Okay. So there's four people at home. Okay. So a crucial piece of evidence here is that she's killed at home. Number one. Okay. If you are killed at home, there's like a 90% chance that it's a relative or someone that you know. Okay. It's not a stranger. If you look at the stats, if you look at the FBI stats, the probability is that if you're killed at home, it's somebody you know, somebody close to you. Okay. Now, this is a very crucial piece of evidence. There's two crucial pieces of evidence here. One is, where was she killed? She was killed at home. Okay. This is this is very big evidence. Okay. This was not a stranger. This was someone that was close to JonBenet Ramsey. Okay. The second crucial piece of evidence is the ransom note that we're going to get to. So when we look at the ransom note, and I'm going to bring it up so we can look at it together, and we're going to look at the original ransom note, which it's not a ransom note, it's just to misdirect the police. This was no way a kidnapping. This was just a murder. She was killed. And then they tried to misdirect police with this ransom note. Okay. There was no kidnapping here. There was no ransom here. This was just a way to misdirect the police. So let's take a look at the original ransom, this hoax of a ransom note. Let me bring it up here. So this is the original note. It was handwritten. One second, and I'll bring it up. This is the original. Okay, this is the original ransom note that was left at the scene. So this is handwritten. It was written on three pieces of paper. Okay, as you can see here. Now, let's take a look at what we're seeing here. First of all, it's a long written ransom note, okay? 3 pages long. This was written on 3 pages, okay? It's very personal towards John Ramsey. Now, the first line here, and I'm going to bring up a typed version so we can see a typed version of it, but I want you to see the original version. This is a handwritten, this is the original ransom note written on 3 pages. Now, what's crucial here and why this is not a stranger, okay? This was not done by a stranger. This killing was not done by a stranger like walking by the house and decided to go in and commit a murder. Now, how do we know that? Okay. Well, first of all, when you look at this note, the first line here is Mr. Ramsey. Okay, what does that tell you? That tells you that this was not a stranger. Okay. This is someone that's close to JonBenet Ramsey. Okay. So if you eliminate the stranger theory, if you say, okay, there's no stranger involved here, this has to be someone close to JonBenet, then the pool of suspects shrinks. Now your pool of suspects is very small. It has to be someone close to JonBenet Ramsey. So that's the first thing you notice in this ransom note. The first line says Mr. Ramsey. Okay. So this is not a stranger. Okay. Now they talk about this touch DNA that they have, and we're going to get to that because the touch DNA has nothing to do with this murder. Nothing. Okay. And that's very crucial here. The touch again, the DNA that they have, the touch DNA has nothing to do with the murder. And we're going to get to that and I'm going to explain what that touch DNA is. What's crucial is again, there's 2 pieces of evidence that's very crucial here. One is where was she killed? She was killed at home, which means it's like 90% probability that it was someone very close to JonBenet. Okay? A relative or someone that knows her. Number 1. The second crucial piece of evidence, which is the smoking gun to me in this, is this ransom note. This ransom note here basically tells us that the person is in the house and knows JonBenet Ramsey. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at JonBenet. So at least we have that. Hold on a second, and we'll bring up JonBenet Ramsey so you can see that. One second, and I'll bring her up. Okay, so here she is. So basically, she was 6 years old at the time of the murder. The parents had her involved in some beauty pageants. I have a little bit of video of that. Um, Another piece of evidence is the housekeeper. Okay, the housekeeper testified at the grand jury. This was back in '99 when they convened a grand jury. And the housekeeper testified in front of the grand jury. And I'm going to bring up some of the stuff and what the housekeeper said because the housekeeper is in the house. So she is going to have a lot of information. She's right in ground zero, right in the middle of it. Um, so let me just bring some of that information up of the housekeeper and what she stated with the grand jury. The grand jury in '99 basically recommended to indict the Ramseys. That's what they recommended back in '99 when the grand jury basically was questioning a lot of witnesses, plus the housekeeper. And let me bring up some of the information from the housekeeper so you see this. But make sure if you're just coming on board now, make sure you hit subscribe, hit the like button, do a question, um, comment. I'll try to get to your questions. Um, we're going to take a look at what the housekeeper said. Again, it is our contention that they had the killer's name within the first 24 hours of the murder. They knew who the killer was. Okay. And so basically, this case is 28 years old. It's a cold case. And when you look at these cold cases, they usually have the murder name in the file. They just need to put it together. Again, it's like a baseball game or a softball game where they have a runner on third And for 28 years, they have not brought the runner home. They need one little hit, a bunt, anything to bring that runner home. They can make the arrest, and the case would be closed. But the runner's been sitting on third base for 28 years. Now, if you look at this picture behind me, I mean, that could be JonBenet Ramsey today, on the beach. That could be her. Um, but it's our contention that somebody in the house, somebody close to JonBenet Ramsey, this is what we contend, that someone close to JonBenet Ramsey killed her. December 25th, 1996. And the ransom note is basically the smoking gun in the case. That's what we believe the smoking gun is. The touch DNA is not the smoking gun. That has nothing to do with the case. We want to explain to you about the touch DNA. Make sure you hit subscribe, because I want you to make sure you get notified for the next live broadcast, because we're going to go over the touch DNA and why that has nothing to do with this murder. Even Michael Baden, the pathologist, the famed pathologist, basically stated that the touch DNA is basically just innocent DNA. And what that means is, when you go out, let's say you go to the grocery store and you're touching the cart, you're touching things, you are leaving your DNA and you're picking up other people's DNA on you. Okay. So that's touch DNA. It has nothing to do with the murder. I mean, basically, the parents or JonBenet or Bert could have picked up touch DNA anywhere, anywhere. And when they come home, they come in contact with JonBenet, they transfer the touch DNA. It has nothing to do with the murder. Nothing. The touch DNA has nothing to do with this murder. The smoking gun evidence is the ransom note. That's the smoking gun evidence. One point is, when John Ramsey, the father, was showed the ransom note, this long ransom. It's not even a ransom note. It's just to misdirect the police. It has nothing to do with the murder. When John Ramsey was showed the ransom note, he basically just said, "Yes, this would be good to try to catch the killer with." That is obvious. We already know that. But that ransom note is 3 pages long. There's so much information in that ransom note, but he offered nothing. He offered no information in that ransom note other than just something very general, which was very obvious. We already knew that this note was crucial to the case, but he was not offering any other details. And there's so much information in that ransom note, 3 pages long. It's like 4 paragraphs of information in that ransom note. So that is very suspicious right there, that you're not offering information other than the obvious. We already know that's good evidence. So, again, make sure you hit subscribe so you can hit our next live broadcast that's going to come up. We're going to go over the touch DNA. We're going to go through the note, the ransom note. We're going to explain why this is the smoking gun evidence and why why the note was left and what the plan was that night. We know what the plan was that night and what happened and why that note was there. So make sure you hit subscribe. On the next live broadcast coming up in a few days, we're going to go into the note and who we believe the killer is. Again, this is not a stranger. This was not somebody walking by the house and decided, "Oh, I'm going to go into this house and kill somebody." No, this was somebody close to JonBenet Ramsey, somebody in the house that night, and she was killed. Now, whether she was killed by accident or she was murdered, that's up to debate. But it was somebody in the house close to JonBenet Ramsey. And one of the things you see in that ransom note, which we're going to go over in the next live broadcast, is the first line says, "We are a small foreign faction." Okay. Now, what does that tell you? It tells you that they don't want anybody looking in the house. They want police looking as far away as possible. They don't want anybody looking in the house. So they say we are a small foreign faction. which tells you right there, the killer is in the house close to JonBenet Ramsey. So this is why the ransom note is very crucial to this case. So again, please hit subscribe, hit the like button, smash the like button if you like this content. Leave a comment, a question. We're going to try to get to all questions that you put down. And we hope to see you on the next live stream, because the goal of this channel is to solve this case. And again, we believe the police have the name of the killer in their file. The Boulder police have the name of the killer in their file. They had the name of the killer within 24 hours of the murder. They had the name. And you find this in these cold cases where the name is there. The name of the killer is in the file. And like 80-90% of these cases, these cold cases, the name of the killer is there. And like I said before, we were talking about what are the two crucial pieces of evidence here. One is, where was JonBenet Ramsey killed? She was killed at home. And if you're killed at home, it's probably someone very close to you, or a friend, a relative, someone close. And the second crucial piece of evidence, the smoking gun, is that ransom note. And on the next live broadcast, we're going to discuss that ransom note, why it was left. And there was another part of the plan that they did not do. There was something else that they were going to try to do, but they didn't. And we're going to discuss that part of it on the next broadcast. Thank you for coming on. If you're just new on, please hit subscribe so you can be here for the next live broadcast. But, no one's going to stop us. We're going to solve this case. We believe the Boulder police have the name of the killer in their file. And we believe that ransom note is the smoking gun in the case. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you the next time. Good night.